Welcome to the Creative Build. I'm so excited that you decided to join me here. This first lesson is going to cover a couple things. We're going to start by talking about your business philosophy as a creative. And then we're going to talk about your strengths, because despite what you've been told before, the skills that you've built as a creative professional apply directly to building a business. And I want you to reflect on that, not just to help build your confidence, but also to help you understand how you can leverage those strengths to grow a business. So let's get into it. Every one of the courses I teach start with this simple statement. Business exists to serve humanity. And business leaders around the world often get this wrong. They think it's the other way around. They think that we are here to serve businesses. But the foundation of business is actually serving humans. We used to be hunter-gatherers as a human race. Then we transitioned to farming, and trade arose from there. Early business was about specialization of farming skills, and farmers could trade goods without having to grow or raise everything themselves. What that did was open up free time. We weren't struggling all day, every day just to survive. We could start spending time with our families. We had leisure time, and we had more time for art. So I want you to start with that simple idea, that business exists to serve humanity. What we're going to do at the Creative Build is build a business that serves you first, not something that just becomes another thing you need to do for survival. And we're going to tie this to your strengths as a creative professional. Your creative strengths apply directly to building and operating a business. So let's get into it. This lesson has 3 goals. First, I'm going to help you form your own business philosophy based on the idea that business should exist to serve humanity, and based on the unique strengths that you bring to building and operating a business. Second, I'm going to help you discover what those strengths are, because we can talk about creatives having creative strengths all day, but you're your own person, and you have unique strengths that you bring to the world of business that nobody else can duplicate. And then finally, I'm going to give you a high-level tour of the Creative Build, just to orient you to this space. And we're going to dig into each individual part in much more detail in further lessons. So let's start with your business philosophy. When you think about business, you might think about an image like this. Old white guys giving thumbs up, congratulating one another on a job well done. You might think about privilege or even exploitation. And that's not the kind of business that I teach, because if business exists to serve humanity, this type of business just won't do. The good news is that good business doesn't have to look anything like this. And the world of business has actually changed from the Industrial Revolution that looked like this. Here's what I mean. We have an old way of doing business and a new way of doing business. The old way is individualistic. We have individual leaders who have all the answers and they're great businessmen and they don't need help from anyone else. It's terminal. You have a goal to achieve as a business leader and you can plan your way into it step by step. It's linear. And when you achieve your goal, you've won business and you can sit back and retire, I guess. In the old world, business is also very technical. It's something that you can learn in a classroom by reading books, by getting an MBA. It's formulaic. Every business situation has already been envisioned by educators. All you have to do is learn the skills of business and just apply them in a formulaic way. You can hit that terminal goal and you don't have to worry about anyone else along the way. But here's the thing. Business is not that simple anymore. It's changed. With the dawn of digital technology, markets are much more fluid. One person can't have all the answers. You're hitting a moving target with your business, so there is no terminal goal to achieve. We don't know what the future is going to look like. And operating in that space can't be learned from a textbook or a course. It's learned by operating. So the new way of doing business is collaborative. One business leader can't have all the answers, and they depend on other people to help them get there, to manage the complexity of business and the changing nature of markets. It's experimental instead of terminal. We might have a direction in mind, but we don't know what the world is going to look like when we get to a direction. Operating a business is a big experiment, not a linear effort to achieve a goal. And finally, it's less technical and more creative. Business leaders need a creative mindset to navigate an ever-changing world. They're solving problems along the way. They're inventing solutions, and they're engaging in creative collaboration to build new possibilities as they experiment with the world around them. So look at this slide. Business has shifted from individualistic and terminal and technical to collaborative, experimental, and creative. Who does the right side sound like? Well, it sounds like you. You have the skills it takes to be a business founder. In my 25-year career, the best business leaders that I've come across also happen to be creatives, artists, musicians, sculptors, designers, and they apply those skills from the creative field to the area of business, and they become superb business leaders when they do that. So let's explore your unique strengths that you bring to the world of business. I've already said creatives make fantastic founders, and we've already talked about why. Let's dig in a little bit more and talk about the creative skills that you bring. You already have what you need, and maybe this list of creative skills that apply directly to business will help you think about the skills that you're bringing to the table. The creatives I work with have vision. You can look at a blank canvas, a blank page, a quiet space, and you can envision something filling that space that doesn't exist today. That is one of the most valuable skills that founders can have. You're keen observers. You look at the world differently from a perspective that creates, that builds possibilities that nobody else around you can see because of your observation. You have integration skills. And what I mean here is you can connect the dots like no one else can. You can find associations between concepts, and not just theory, but between actual physical, functional things in the world that nobody else sees. And for a lot of creatives, that's often the root of your creativity. You're a collaborator. I'm going to talk a lot about creative collaboration at the Creative Build. And it's something I'm going to push you to do because the best business founders don't try to build their business alone. The creation of a business is a creative exercise, and working with other creatives is the best way to accelerate your growth. And then finally, you're a natural experimenter. That's actually the next lesson. In a world where we don't have a terminal goal, where we're hitting a moving target, where we don't know what's happening in the next 6, 9, 12 months, we don't know what our market's going to look like, your ability to experiment is essential. And experimentation in business doesn't look that different from experimentation in science, which doesn't look that different from experimentation in art. I'm going to draw those parallels in the next lesson, and we're going to talk about how you apply them to accelerate the growth of your business. I'll leave you with this question in the lesson. What unique creative strengths do you bring to your creative build? I've given you a list of 5, but I guarantee there's more to you than that. That's just surface level. What are you bringing to your business? Write down everything you can think of. That won't just build confidence for you. It's going to help you understand the assets you have to leverage to make your business more successful. It'll show you where to lean in, and it'll also show you where you need to get help through creative collaboration later on. So now I want to take you through a high-level tour of the Creative Build and all the workspaces within it. This is high-level stuff. I'm going to dig into each one in a lot more detail in future lessons, but I want to get you oriented to the space so that you're prepared to do the work for your creative build. When you first log into the Creative Build, this is what you're going to see. This is the Creative Build dashboard or workspace. And you can always come back here by clicking this link at the top, workspace, or by clicking on the Creative Build link here. I want to point out a few things that are common across all of the pages first. This header, you will see the same links and the same menu over here on the right, which just duplicates the links if you ever want to use this on mobile. And then you have these 6 links across the top that take you to various places. We'll get back to those in a minute. Then you have the title strip. The title strip is the same on every page. You have a title for the page on the dashboard. It has a welcome message. And then you have 7 different tool tiles. Each of these tiles takes you to a specific tool in the workspace that you're going to use to build parts of your business. Building your brand, getting to know your buyers, reaching your buyers, pricing your work, selling it, finding the right partners, and then experimentation with all of it. You can use these tool tiles to navigate to each of those specific tool locations. So back at the dashboard, you'll see here there are 3 main sections on the dashboard: celebrate, learn, and grow. And I have celebrate first because I want you to get into the habit of celebrating your progress, celebrating wins, celebrating learning, even celebrating when things don't work out as you expect them to, because that's learning too. So on the left side, you have your 5 most recent accomplishments in the Creative Build workspace. This is auto-populated based on your activity within the site. If you click on this big frame or on the button at the bottom, you can share your recent wins with your advisors. So you can send them a message directly from here. You're going to see that pattern of sharing information with your advisors repeated throughout the site. The second thing is the learning section. And there are 2 things to know about this section. First of all, there's a daily lesson from me. Think about this like a daily quote calendar. I'm going to have a 1-sentence lesson for you every day that shows up, just gives you something to think about. You can click on this frame or the frame at the bottom, and it'll take you to my classroom. If you're watching this video from the Creative Build, you've already seen this, but that's a quick way to get to the classroom. You can also get here from the classroom link at the top. And then finally, over here on the right, we have the grow section. This frame has the top 5 actions that you've indicated are your priorities in the planning section of the site. I'm going to teach a specific lesson on the planning section, but you can get there by clicking on the frame or clicking on the button at the bottom, either way. And this is what the planning page looks like. I'll dig into this more later. So that's the workspace. The next thing I'm going to cover, because it's not going to be covered covered in any specific section is the diagnosis section. During your onboarding, you completed a diagnostic survey, and you can go back to the results of that survey right here. This is the survey that I created for this account to demo the site for you. But you can also at any time come back and you can start a new survey when things change. I do recommend that you do this every 6 months or so as things progress and as you learn and as you get closer to that goal that you set in your original onboarding. Once you complete a new survey, all of the surveys that you completed are shown in your diagnostic history, and you can view them from this location. This is another place where you can track progress and you can celebrate your growth as a business founder. So now that you've explored your business philosophy, you've reflected on the strengths that you bring to your business as a creative founder, and you've taken a look at the creative build at a high level, it's time to start going a little bit deeper. In the next lesson, I'm going to talk about experimentation, how to test ideas in your art business. I already spoke about how that's important to the new way of running a business, but in the next lesson, I want to link your creative experimentation and what you already know about testing to the practice of business experimentation. So you start your work at the creative build by understanding where you're headed.